All right, guys, welcome back to the channel, and today's going to be a little different. About 2 weeks ago, I want to say on Black Friday, I walked in a ham radio outlet, and I really didn't know if I was going to pick anything up that day or if I was going to just buy a couple accessories for some things I needed or walk out the door with a 7760. I had no clue, but anyways, I ended up buying the FTX-1 Optima, which I'm sure a lot of you know, and I've stated in my other videos, I am not a Yaesu fan by any means. Their menu system, I think, super clunky, and there's just things about their radios I typically don't like. Well, I didn't like the DX10 really a whole lot, the menu system stuff, but I bought one anyways just to review it, see what it's about, get my own general consensus opinion about it. I also bought an 891, I think it was, as well. I got some videos coming on that about why everybody thinks it's like the best POTA rig and why I don't think it's the best POTA rig. So got some videos coming for that stuff. But today we're going to talk about the Optima. Now, the Optima has been kind of just drama since it's been released. And there's been nothing but bugs and issues and people talking about, oh my God, like I spent, either, the full price when it came out, I think it was about $1,400 for the field model, 12 or 1,400 for the field. And then the Optima was about 1,900, right? Depending on where you picked it up at. So a lot of these people bought these radios thinking it was going to be like the next best thing. And a lot of them were diehard Yaesu fans, only to be left disappointed. Thankfully, a lot of the retailers made it right, let them send back radios, give them some store credit, and they were able to get other radios with that money. So a couple of the guys I know, like, they sold their DX10s to buy the Optimas thinking it'd be just like a kind of do-it-all kind of thing. Like, they'd have their field radio, then they'd have their home base radio, or they could take both out in the field if they wanted to. But that didn't pan out the way they wanted it to, and they didn't feel like waiting for firmware upgrades and stuff like that. And I can't say I blame them a whole lot. You pay that much money for a radio, you expect it to work. So we're like 200 days out since release, I want to say, at this point. I think it was 180, 200 days when I checked since Hamvention. And the question I'm trying to find out is, did they work out all the kinks in this? And we're going to unbox the radio, and we're going to go through it, and we're going to do some testing over the next 24 hours. And I'm going to give you my honest opinion on whether or not the situation with the FTX-1 Optima has been fixed or not. And this can probably, also be a good judge of the FTX-1 itself, whether or not that's fixed as well too, since it's basically just the head with the body with the amp and the auto tuner in it and some other stuff. But I'm going to give you an honest opinion on it, on what I think about the radio. And you guys are probably asking yourself, well, why did you, buy this rig, knowing it has issues, knowing it could be having problems? Well, the guys at HRO basically told me they updated their firmware on theirs. They had no issues with it, and the radio sounded so good. I'm not going to lie to you. The radio sounded so good. And when I heard how well it was sounding in the store off of a compromised antenna, I was like, okay, we got to get this thing home and play with it and see what it's about, and go from there. So without further ado, let's unbox this sucker. All right, so it comes in this box right here, and I'm going to do my best to unbox it. We're out camping right now, so yeah, but I'm going to give it a good test out here, because this should be the best environment to use this radio, because it's going to be it's going to be low noise floor out here where I'm at. And it's also, anytime I throw up a wire out here, it's pretty good. So anyways, let's unbox this sucker and see what you get. All right, so first off, we got our manual and our typical Yaesu map. So that's pretty much common. I did open this already, and I did put some power poles on the cable. That's the only thing I did when I opened this. And let's see what else we got here. Other than that, it's the first time we're opening this up besides the cables. Looks like you get a little power adapter, probably for the Optima head, or sorry, not the Optima, but the FTX head, to be able to go into power poles. We get the battery, it looks like. That's a heavy battery, guys. It's a lot heavier than the 705, which I also own. But the cool thing about this one is that it has a USB-C plug right there, so you guys can charge this battery with USB-C. This is pretty heavy, and let's see if it says it's 6,400 mAh. So that's pretty good. That's pretty nice. All right, let's see what else we got in here. Looks like we got a bunch of little accessories. Let's see, hand mic. Let's see what else we got. Looks like some feet for probably the Optima. Okay, cool. This looks like another, I have no clue what that's for. It looks like some kind of tab for something. I have no clue what that's for. Some fuses. Okay, pretty standard stuff over there. Let's see what else. What do we got over here on this side? It looks like it's going to want me to take out the rig before I do that. So you got a little bit extra padding. And you got the rig itself, which, mind you, I think is rather heavy. So all right. Oh, that thing is heavy. I'll be honest. That thing is not light. Not light at all. That thing's heavier than like a 710, it feels like. So, all right. First look at the radio. There's your panel. That's how big the head is. You got your speaker here, but you also got your two speakers in front. You can play them both at once, from what I've seen. You got some kick down feet here on the bottom. You've got a tripod adapter there. And then the head comes off. Let's see, I think it's from the top here. Yeah, there's a top thing. Okay, that's how the top comes off. So just taking a quick look at that. That's what it looks like underneath there when you gotta look at all this. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, yeah, 3, 4, 5 connections to go to that rig. That doesn't look too good, to be honest with you, but it looks like they give you enough space and all that kind of jazz to use it as your own, but clips back in just nice. All right, on the side there, you got your ports, your headphones, key, your GPS, and your USB, and then your microphone. So that's pretty handy. Looks like you got a spot here for a handle if you need it. No handle spot on the other side. This is the Bluetooth socket, and that's your SD card socket. So I'm gonna go ahead and update the firmware on this sucker to the latest version, which from what I'm hearing, it's stable. And this has the firmware in it from the second iteration back in July, is what the guys at HRO said. They turned it on for me before I took it home, and they said that it had the firmware on it from July. So we're gonna go ahead and update it to the November firmware. And a lot of people have reported they've had issues with the November firmware updates. So if we brick this rig right now, I will tell you. But if we don't brick the rig, I will also tell you. So anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get this updated. Or actually, we forgot to take out the other parts. So I'm going to put this to the side. And this should be our microphone. This should be the only thing left to take out of here, which is, I don't know why they made this so difficult. You can't even lift that flap open, guys. All right, you got our standard Yaesu microphone with a couple buttons on it, the mute button, push to talk. So that's your standard SSM 75E. So the radio's made in Japan, but the mic is made in China. So just FYI, and it uses the standard Yaesu plug, it looks like. So great, no big deal. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get this sucker updated, and we're gonna see what it's all about, and I'll report back here in just a little bit on how it went. All right, guys, so quick update on the firmware process. The firmware process went just fine with the November firmware. Something you have to realize, though, that thankfully I had an extra one, is it has to be an SDHC card, 32 gigabytes or less. Not a SDXC, which is very common these days. It has to actually be an SDHC card in order to format it, and the format has to be in FAT format. So you may have to plug it into a computer and format it to the proper format, but as long as it's a SDHC card, you should be able to put it into the rig and format it from the rig. So that's what I had to do. I was trying XC cards and they weren't working, and I was like, why won't these format? It made no sense. Quick search said, oh, you got to be HC. So I found an HC card, and typically the HC cards are 32 gigabytes or less. So if I were you guys, I'd go on Amazon or something if you order this rig and order up a 8 to 16 gigabyte or even 32 gigabyte SDHC card to have. Just kind of surprising because I know all my iComs take SDXC cards, because as well as Kenwood too, the last couple of years. So something to keep in mind when you go to update your firmware. SDHC. The firmware up there went just fine, no big deal. I updated everything at once, and I think that I was supposed to update everything but the amp first, but I updated everything at once anyways, and it went just fine. So maybe the way to do this is to upgrade it to the July version first, and then upgrade it to the November version maybe. But from what I understand, I got one of the units that was delivered on like the second batch. So maybe they fixed something in the second batch with the firmware or the hardware or something like that. I don't know, but either way, my update went smooth, and I did just do a quick test to make sure that everything turned on and worked okay. And then I just did a quick auto tuner test, and the auto tuner worked. So I'm not seeing any issues just yet, but we'll give the radio a run through right now a little bit further and make sure that it works okay. So as far as firmware update goes, no problems, no bricks, and it worked. So anyways, guys, let's keep going on this review, and I'm going to go hook up a bigger antenna right now, and we'll get that going, and then we'll start doing some testing later this afternoon when I have some more time, and we'll do some FT8 on the rig, and we will do some voice if we can pick up some other stations, maybe chase some POTA. And the thing I want to kind of point out about this rig right now that I really like is it's a USB-C port. So on the side of the rig, you got the USB-C port, and that's going to make my life easier because everything I have is USB-C for computers. And then I forgot to show you guys the rear of this thing, but basically you get a tuner port, an external speaker port, you get 2 HF ports and 50 megahertz, and then you also get a UHF VHF port. So that's pretty much the back of the rig, and then you get a big fan on the back of it. So anyways, guys, that's the back of the rig I forgot to show you. So let's keep going with this review. I'm excited to do this, and this should be fun. And then at the end of this video, I do have some thoughts about, you know, what I think they could have done better so far on this rig. I'm going to compare it a little bit to a 705, and I will give you my honest opinion on what I think Yaesu got right on this, and I'm going to tell you what they got wrong on this, because there's already some things right now that I'm noticing that I'm like, So anyways, let's keep going.
Every time they come out, I find that for me is not really necessary. Go ahead.
If it's working, why update it? Yeah, I understand that. I'm hesitant. And at that time, I was just playing with it. I wanted to see what it would do, see what it could do. And I think I ran it. I ran some a lot of my temperature there was one program on it that would not run on it, and I tried running the software that would right now, and it's been a couple of years that would run this particular thing with an update. You know what I'm talking about. Was I trying to get it unwind, and it just wouldn't work. So I went back to Windows 10. I've been happy with it, but I do like Linux. So.
Yes, I like Linux. It's a good operating system. I have MacBook Pros as well, and they're basically Unix underneath. My Elecraft KPA 1500, if I operate it remotely, I'm kind of stuck with Windows. I could run a Windows inside my Mac, but I use my Mac to control the Flex when I'm doing FT8 if I'm operating remotely, and I really can't run the Windows inside of that at the same time. So I have a Dell laptop setting next to my MacBook when I'm operating FT8 remotely into the Flex. Go ahead.
Yeah, they haven't got into doing any remote radio work. I have the FTX-1 here, and I just got that for myself this week and been playing with it. I'm pretty happy with it. And tossing around doing remote operation. I think most of my stuff can do remote operation. My Green Heron can do remote. My Mercury Lux amplifier can do remote. And I know the Yaesu can do remote, so I'm tossing it around whether I want to
think the remote works quite well. The Flex was designed with remote operation in mind, so it plays well. It's pretty much plug and play, and so I haven't had any problems when I operate it remotely. It functions quite well. I have a Maestro, a Flex Maestro, that I use to remote control the radio when I'm doing single sideband. But FT8, I have to use their smart SDR software because the Maestro doesn't support, digital modes. But everything works well. There's a lot of pieces and parts that are moving there, but everything comes together real well, and I haven't had any problems with it. So, Kilo 8, Nancy Wilco. Nancy, Whiskey Alpha Zero, Mike Clean Clean for ID, and back to you.
Well, that didn't take long. Already broke this. I don't know how. I guess it's just super weak on one side, so that's broken. So yeah, $50 DeWalt Surveyor's tripod already busted. So I don't know. I mean, this is only holding up the antenna and some coax, and it's just I think we're gonna have to do something different for a mast. But either way, it seems to have gotten the job done a little bit for what we're after. So we'll see. Good morning, you guys, and I hope you guys can hear this okay, because there's a heater running in the background. But we've been operating the FTX-1 Optima for about I don't know, 3-4 hours combined since last night and this morning, and the wire antenna is working out pretty good now this morning. Last night it was kind of iffy with things I was getting, but I played with a lot of the settings, as you'll see in this the previous clip. And I wasn't talking with it, I was just going through the settings, trying to figure out how good I could tweak a signal or make a signal based upon the filters that are in the FTX-1. So I want to make some observations about it. The Super DX button does work. It does bring up the signals quite a bit. I don't know, like, everybody's kind of confused on if it's a preamp or not a preamp. The other preamps in there seem to work fine. I think the filters are actually pretty good. They're comparable to like a DX10, I think, with the noise blanker, as well as the noise reduction. And if I remember correctly, what was the other one here? It was the DNR, the digital noise reduction. So no complaints or quarrels about the filtering and stuff like that. I think it's pretty comparable to what's out there in the other Yaesu product lines. So that's not a big deal. But this morning, I came across a video by Walter Stanton, Peter Stanton, and he does some really good content. So Peter, if you ever see this, thank you. And it's very like just straightforward and somewhat technical, and basically it just it makes it really easy to understand and use. And so anyways, he showed me this, or not me, but he showed everybody on YouTube this cool app where you could essentially just plug in your iPad or iPhone using a software called I think it was IFTX, I think is what it was called, or IFT8. Let me double check that before I do anything else. IFTX is what it's called, and it was $2 on the App Store. But you can fully listen to everything, and you can fully respond to everything. And the one trick I figured out is to set the ALC, you have to use the volume on the iPad itself or the iPhone, and you adjust your ALC that way. But other than that, you put your Vox on and set it to USB, and then you set your Vox gain to about 76. And that seems to be the magic trick. And then also in the settings is where you would turn on, for Vox, you put USB. So pretty easy to find that stuff in the manual. I won't dig through the menus on that one. But anyways, I'm going to swap this around, and I'm going to show you guys the app and how it's working on the radio, and just so you can see for yourself. So here goes. All right, so as you can see here, we got the app running, and it's fully pulling in traffic. I just did a couple of QSOs a minute ago, worked without a problem here on my iPad. And this is just a simple USB-C cable, and it's just going right into the side of the Optima here is all it is. And it is fully controlling that. Now, I know the big drawback that we've talked about between the two IC705 and the FTX-1 Optima that we keep talking about is, hey guys, there's no Wi-Fi built into the Optima, nor is there a module that you can get at this time. Just Bluetooth and GPS, which a lot of people are dogging on Yaesu about, and I fully agree with you. They really kind of missed the mark on that. But maybe their thought was like, hey, they can just use a USB-C cable, and maybe that would be better. And in all honesty, like, it works really well. It's got really nice and clear audio there, you can see, and I'm pulling in signals. And it's really easy to just hit reply on one of those signals, and I can easily have a QSO with somebody, and the software will even log it for me. So no quarrels about that one at all whatsoever. But yeah, you can see right here on the the tracking is a little messed up here, but of course the second I turn it towards the camera, it just goes kind of blank. But perfect time to show you the Super DX, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and operate this for another couple minutes, and then I'm going to get back to you guys with my thoughts on the rig as a whole. I didn't make any phonetic contacts yesterday at all whatsoever with this. I just kind of played with the filters and listened. All right, guys. So what are my thoughts on this rig after just having it for the last 24 hours? Just base impressions. So I think Yaesu nailed it in some respects, and I think they kind of missed the mark in some other respects. So I think they missed the mark with the Bluetooth. I think they missed the mark with no Wi-Fi. I think they missed the mark with no GPS built into this sucker. And their response to that was like, well, if you want it, you can buy those things. Well, right now, they're the same price, last I checked, because it's holiday season. And it's $1150 for the FTX-1, and it's just the field model, and it's $1150 for, or it was at least during holiday sales, for the IC705. But the IC705 packs a lot more features, and it's got a lot more, I guess you could say, history at this point of how it works and how people have used it, and the longevity of it, how it's been and how it's been to operate. I own a 705, and when I took a break from ham radio for a couple years, that was the first rig I bought, and I bought an Alex loop because I just wanted to get back operating as quick as I can, as easy as I could, and I have loved the 705 since I've had it. It's been a great rig, no quarrels. So my thoughts on this FTX is where I think Yaesu missed the mark on it was, I know that they designed this rig to be a home-based station as well as a portable station to where you could take the head off and go out into the field. Now, that may fit the operations for some people, especially people that are like in apartments and they're limited, and just to be able to take that head off and roll out to the field, great. But I'm at the point now with POTA and other field radios where, like, unless you're doing SOTA, like, and you're just driving up to a park, like, do you really need to worry about compact size or anything like that? I don't think so. I think you could buy a 7300 or a 710 and use that as your main POTA rig and be a lot happier, because you're going to have a bigger screen, you're going to have better filters probably, or actually I should say the filters on this one are about the same as the rest of the Yaesus I played with, but I mean, you're going to have that bigger screen, you're going to have like a more bigger control layout and stuff like that. So I mean, me personally, I'm using a 7300 now for POTA operations, or the 7100 in my truck, because it just doesn't make sense to me to bring a small 705 anymore when you're rolling up there in a truck, like, or a car, and you got to walk 10 feet over to the bench. Like, come on. So while I respect wanting, to bring something smaller and more compact, believe me, I'm building a Go kit right now at home that's very compact and is a small Yeti container. I just think Yaesu just kind of missed the mark a little bit, and I think there should have been a couple different variations of this radio. So this, and there may well be another iteration of this radio coming. Now, what I think they should have done is, I think they should have made this a lot easier to hook up to an amplifier. Now, you're going to need the FTX-1 field as its own separate unit. I get that, which they do sell it as that. You're going to need it with the Optima, which then fits the guys who will want to not only need it as a field radio, but then also use it as a home base station. Great. If you're only going to have one radio, this would definitely be it for sure. Keep the base station at home, take the other part out into the field if you want it with you, or just take the whole damn thing with you. Doesn't matter. But where they kind of miss the mark a lot is not making this like mobile compatible. And they also miss the mark on, like we just said, the Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and the GPS. But not making this mobile compatible, I think they missed the mark. I think they should have been another FTX-M or FTX-1M for mobile. And they could have done it like ICOM does, where it's like one cable. I know my 7100 has like one Cat6 cable shielded that goes from the back of the truck all the way to the front. It's just one cable. And then that head has the microphone and everything like that. So maybe it's coming still from Yaesu. I don't know, but I think they could have had a really, really big hit on their hands had they released an FTX-1 Optima, an FTX-1 Field, and then an FTX-1 Mobile. And having that mobile be just one cable up to the front, because right now guys are running it with like 5 cables all the way to the back. And when I seen that, I was just like, ugh, like that's a ton of cables to run from the front of my truck to the rear. But they still, you could have used an ATAS with that or something. It would have been super easy along with your VHF, UHF antenna. But that's just my thoughts. I think Yaesu might have missed the mark on that one. Maybe it's still coming, because the 891 has been a huge success for mobile operations with the ATAS. And I think Yaesu needs to be in a spot right now where they need to bank on those wins, because I think ICOM's killing them in other regards. I have high hopes for the 7300 Mark II that just came out. Some people got theirs. I haven't got mine yet. Don't even know what's going on with the pre-order situation with it. I pre-ordered from HRO. Don't even know. They said probably before Christmas. We'll see. But other people ordered from DX and Chat Radio. Some of them already got theirs. So I'm going to be interested to compare that to like a DX10 or a FT710. And then I think right now ICOM does win out on the 705. But I want you guys to keep something in mind. By the time you buy a 705, you buy the antenna tuner for the 705, and you buy an amplifier for the 705, you're going to be right at what an FTX-1 Optima costs you, if not a little bit more actually, depending on the amp you buy. So Yaesu did hit the mark on the pricing, I think, with both of them, but I still think there's some things that they could have improved upon. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and cap this video up, and hopefully you guys got something out of it. I know it's kind of quick and dirty just out here in the middle of nowhere where I was doing some operations, but I just wanted you guys to have some quick thoughts from a completely unbiased me. And I'm going to keep using the rig. I'm not selling it. I think there's still a lot that I can do with it as of now. I'm going to explore the option of, I bought the separation kit that's 5 feet. I'm going to explore putting this rig like somewhere within my office, and then running the cables 5 feet over and running the head right off of my desktop on my computer, because I think that might actually be kind of cool. I think that might be a good use case for me. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do some more FT8 with it. I'm going to do some more phonetic stuff with it, because I have a better antenna set up at home just waiting to go. And because we're kind of compromised out here, even though I got a good wire up. But I'm going to keep playing with the radio. I think we are going to take it portable with the battery pack and go from there. But as of right now, I'm not disappointed in the purchase. I have no quarrels about recommending the rig to you guys to go out and buy, regardless of what other people are ranting and raving about on the forums about firmware updates, breaking the radios and stuff like that. My honest thought is maybe somebody did something wrong, or they didn't use a good SD card, maybe some other issue, but for me it was super easy. So anyways, guys, I'm going to say 73s. I'm going to go back to FT8. I noticed Hawaii is popping off right now from where my antenna is. So I'm going to see if I can work Hawaii this morning and pack up the rig. And we're going to give it some more testing at home. And I probably will do a comparison between this rig and an IC705 and give you a breakdown of that. But before I forget, sorry, I want to add one more thing. The one thing that I will really knock this radio about right now is that the touchscreen is horrible. Absolutely horrible. I'll have to hit something 2-3 times before it'll even show up and actually work. So maybe the answer is to get a stylus with a little rubber tip on the end of it or something like that. But as of right now, touching the screen with your finger only works about once every 3 pushes. So I'm going to see if there's a calibration or something like that in there for that one. But as of now, I'm really disappointed in that. the touchscreen is nowhere near as good as ICOM's is as far as sensitivity goes. So sorry to throw that one in there last minute on you, but that's my biggest quarrel with the radio right now is the touchscreen. So anyways, guys, 73s.